everybody. Hi, this is Becky from Power Tools with Thread, and I have a very exciting treat for you today. We have a master quilter, Anne Wiens, in our midst, and Anne is up in Montana, and she graciously agreed to do a Zoom interview with me today. Since I can't get out and about and go see people, I thought we'd use technology and kind of make it work for us. So everybody, this is Anne. Hi, Anne.
Good morning.
So we've had a little bit of,
Where I am.
yeah, right. We've had a little bit of technical issues with the microphone. So I actually have my phone going. So if this doesn't work out, I'll try to get the audio to work with our mouth so we don't look like one of those old Godzilla movies. So I came across Anne because if you guys recall, Moda had accepted one of my blocks for the Moda Bake Shop Summer Quilt Along 2020. And I had submitted the block in, and Anne was actually also one of the quilters who her block had been accepted. And when it got time to put the blocks all together, one of the quilters in the group, come to find out it was Anne, put together a gorgeous setting for all of it. It looked like a giant, you called it grandstand, right?
Grandstand, because it reminded me of the red, white, and blue bunting, like
On a grandstand.
at a convention or something. Yeah.
I absolutely love that setting. I think it was just so, unique and creative, and it wasn't your standard straight borders. And I thought it was just
I was
lovely.
trying to come up with something a little different.
Well, you did a great job on it. I had some questions here I wanted to ask you. And, I know all quilters get asked the same thing. So we'll start with the basic one. So how long have you been quilting, and when did you get into it?
Oh, gosh. 1973 is when I started. I was a junior in high school at the time, and quilting was enjoying a bit of a revival because of the bicentennial coming up. People were becoming interested in, reviving some of the folk arts and crafts that our parents and grandparents had done. And my grandmothers both quilted, and my mom didn't so much, but she sewed a lot when I was young and taught me how to sew when I was young. So I came to it naturally. And when I was a junior in high school, I decided I wanted a quilt for my bed, so I made one. And of course, that was before rotary cutters and before strip piecing, and I was going to do a 9-patch scraps, because I had a pile of scraps, and we had to use cardboard templates back then. So you would cut your cardboard templates out of a cereal box or something and draw around the template, and then, accuracy has come a long, long way. So my 4 sisters, I have 2 sisters and my mom, they couldn't sit down to watch TV, but I would toss a bunch of scraps and mark and cut. And we finally got enough pieces cut out and got it put together, and wasn't an award winner by any means, but I was pretty much hooked. My cousin got married right out of high school, and then a little bit later on, she had a baby, and so I made baby quilts for my cousin's baby, and that pretty much, I was hooked at that point. Mostly I was interested in making the blocks, because I always enjoyed geometry in high school, and so I was just seeing how many different blocks I could make, and I really got serious about it after I moved to Montana here, and one of my part-time jobs was I worked in a quilt shop, and so then I really, really got serious and started designing and to teach, basically.
Yeah, I see that you have a book that you put out for use with scraps.
That's what happens when you fall in with a bunch of quilters. They encourage you. And I had come up with this technique for, just pre-cutting scraps, because I did not ever want to sit down to make a scrap quilt again and have to cut every piece at that time. And so what I started doing was I noticed that by this time strip quilting had come along and rotary cutters, and so I was noticing I had a lot of like 2.5 or 3.5 inch strips. So I started cutting up pieces into squares, 2.5 inch squares, 3.5 inch squares, and then I added rectangles, 2.5 by 4.5, and then I realized if using a small square, large square, and a rectangle, you could make different shapes like flying geese.
Right.
And I call it a blade in the book, but anyway, there are 4 or 5 different shapes that you can make with these squares and rectangles, and of course from there you can make dozens and dozens or hundreds of blocks. And so that was what the book was, basically was explaining how I have the 6 basic shapes, and then I've got 80 blocks in the book, mostly traditional style quilt blocks, that you can make just with different combinations of these squares. But the basic idea was when you feel like making quilt, you don't have to go out and cut all your pieces because you've already got them.
Right.
You're not sorting through stacks of fabric and trying to cut all these
Smart.
pieces. You've got them. Well, right about the time that when I sent my draft in to my publisher, AccuQuilt was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 2010 by then. It just happened that they had dies for the AccuQuilt that were the sizes of these pieces that I'm using in the book. So my publisher contacted AccuQuilt, and AccuQuilt said, hey, great. They stuck a badge on the cover of the book, and so the book is available through AccuQuilt.
Nice.
I probably would have done things a little different had I known about AccuQuilt, but it's a good start.
Right.
I don't go anything smaller than a 2.5 inch square.
Yeah.
So,
those little bitty pieces are hard to get right. That's very difficult to do. Yeah.
And so mine are pretty basic quilts. But how many times do you all of a sudden need to make a quilt for, a fire, breaks out somewhere and people are collecting quilts? Or we had a time when one of our Quilt Guild members, her brother and sister-in-law lost their house in a fire. So the Quilt Guild decided to get together and make a 9-patch quilt. Well, who had a box of 3.5 inch squares already cut and ready to go? Comes in handy sometimes.
You're like a superhero on quilts.
Yeah. With my blog, then I try every now and again, I'll throw up a quilt pattern that you can do that's not in the book that we can do with these pieces. So,
okay.
So basically, it was a matter of trying to tame this mountain of scraps. And once I mentioned I could maybe do a book out of this, well, then my quilty friends started telling everybody I was doing a book, so I pretty much had to do it.
You had sent me some pictures of some absolutely gorgeous quilts. I want to go through them, and maybe you were actually published in a magazine?
I've done some work for Quilt Maker magazines and that family. Quilt Maker, McCall's Quilting, Pons and Porter's Love of Quilting. There are 7 or 8 different titles. But
okay, my personal favorite of all, I've got 2 that I just love, the ones you sent, and it's called QM Scrap Squad Finale.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was cool.
That is gorgeous. I just love that. So this is the Scrap Squad Finale right here. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. Every crayon in the box, it is just lovely. And is this one in your book?
No, this is one, the Scrap Squad, this was Quilt Maker magazine. They
Oh.
had a group of, I think there were 7 or 8 of us, and all over the country. And with each issue during the year 2013, that's the year I was on it, they would send us one of the patterns from the magazine early. And then we were to interpret that pattern in scraps. and do something with it. And so this one, in the original quilt that we used as inspiration, was a beautiful blue and white quilt. And since it was the last one we would be doing, I had all of my fellow Scrap Squad members and the editors of the magazine send me a little 2.5-inch square with the signature on it.
Oh.
So every one of those blocks has a signature in the middle of it.
Oh,
So
they
this is a
do.
special
Okay. Yeah, look at that. Let me get a little bit bigger and zoom in here. So there's a signature in the middle of these. How nice.
in the middle of each square, yeah, there's a signature.
I love that. That is just so nice. Do you have another one of these quilts you want to talk about? I'm afraid they might cut us off at 1:30, which is 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, I should mention that a couple that I have that are actually for sale, the patterns are for sale because I do publish through quiltwoman.com. Okay, one of those is the Mahjong one was one of those, and trying to find here on my list what was the other one. Oh, the county fair is also.
I love that county fair. That is so cute. Let me open that up.
That is from my National Quilters Day retreat. Every year on National Quilters Day, I host a one-day retreat. I design a twin-size quilt that you can put the top together in that day. And that was from 2019. That's the pattern we did.
That is
that
so
one is
cool.
not for sale yet, but the Mahjong one is one that we did back in the early 2000s.
The Mahjong
is a pattern that's available now.
This is a pattern that's available for sale on quiltwoman.com?
Right.
Okay.
And that one, you can put that top together in a day.
Yeah, it looks like it's great for big focus fabrics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. That's very nice.
And the twin size, I think those blocks are 12 inches. So.
Oh, yeah, easy. You're right.
Pillow panel might work in there.
Very nice. I like that very much. That's brightens up a little girl's room, that one for sure. But that's
I think me and my sister's fabric line.
Right. But for kids, if you've got Spider-Man fabric or Cars or any kind of Disney anything, that's a great pattern to do that with.
And a lot of these quilts wind up being for grandkids.
Yes, they do.
a lot of grandmas at my retreat.
Well, Anne, I just want to thank you very much for coming on here and visiting with me. And this has been a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And I hope to see you again soon.
Well, I hope so. It's been fun.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Becky.